It's Baby Steps Back Week 3. Stick around. Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie authors on their journey to publication. I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
And I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fiction.
And we are down two beautiful, wonderful hosts again this week. So we do, of course, covet your prayers always for Rhonda with the long-term situation that she's been dealing with. And we ask you for special prayers for Jen today, who is sadly under the weather. And if it were manageable, she would be here with us. So she's really suffering. So we would appreciate your prayers. And we hope that she'll be back with us for the next episode of the podcast. Thank you to everybody who is listening to us on any platform where you find podcasts. We should be available there. So tell your friends. Also, thank you so much to those who are able to join us live today. We broadcast at 10 Eastern U.S. time on Friday. And this morning, it looks like we have Purpose Behind the Pen wishing us a good morning right back at you. Catherine Carroll is able to join us today. Good morning. Dawn Robertson is praying. Thank you so much, Dawn. I know that Jennifer and Rhonda both appreciate it. Teresa Thomas, good morning. I know it's sad that she's also struggling a bit, but the positive is she's able to join our live chat today. And hi, Christy. We know that you're homeschooling. Hi to your daughter as well. And thank you for being part of what makes us happy to do this broadcast. We really want to build a community here of Christian writers. And I'll tell you what, Christina, I've had the pleasure of meeting several of our fans in real life. And there's not a dud among the group, is there?
No, I have too. And it's always wonderful.
Always wonderful, completely warm and accepting people. They meet you where you're at. They love to pray for you and encourage you. And we would like to invite you to be a part of our community. We do have a Facebook group. We also have a Patreon. If you are able to financially support us in any small way, that would be appreciated. This is ministry in the minds of the other hosts and myself. We do not make a profit on this podcast. In fact, we pay to be hosts. We each pay a membership fee. It's kind of like a little club or church group or something, I guess you would say. So any money that you spend supporting us via Patreon is just going to go for the cost of providing the show to those podcast platforms, like I mentioned earlier, and to basically just keep us up and running from week to week. So with that said, good morning. We've got Piper with us today as well. It's a full house today, but there's room for you. So come on over to the live chat if you're available. And we're going to move on to our traditional What's Up segment where we go around the table, but this time we just ask one another what's up in our lives. So Tina, what's up with you today?
Oh, so much going on this week. It's been one of those weeks where at the end of the day, your mental energy is just gone, but then you feel like, I got a lot done today. So that's what my week's been like. I had an incident with a mandolin.
Not the instrument.
Not the instrument. The food chopper. I was in a hurry to get my carrots into my salad, and I sliced my finger right here, like really bad.
Now, it's a weird looking place to slice. Like, what in the world were you doing?
I was holding the carrot like this. Like, I can't even do it because of the Band-Aid. And I was going like up and down like this with the carrot on the mandolin, holding it up. And I sliced my finger.
And you were doing the mom thing and not using the little guard thing.
I have like a fancy one that's like slanted, and there has like a chute that you put stuff in, and then you push the plunger so you never get close to the blade. But it's just such a pain in the butt. It's so much easier to pull my flat one with a handle out of the drawer where it fits with all the other utensils and just go at it,
Mhm.
you know? And I never realized until I had to wear this huge Band-Aid, because I've had a couple of Zoom meetings this week, how much I put my hand over my face.
You literally have a big flag now
I was
to
like, oh my
say,
gosh, I need to keep my hand down here because it's,
mm.
and of course, I have like way too small bandages, or I have like ginormous, and they're neon colors.
I wonder if that should be something that the Toastmasters should encourage for beginning public speakers, to put a colorful Band-Aid on and then watch yourself speak to see what you're doing with your hands. It seems like that would be a good public speaking trick.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway,
So, yeah, all
yeah,
right.
and I got new homework from my book coach, which I'm really excited about. I'm
Mm.
done with the character development. I'm
Yay.
I'm done with the world building, although I do have to draw 2 more maps, but
Mm.
I have to do my inside outline, and then I have to like mark on these maps like where main incidents are happening.
Mm. That
So
sounds like a lot of fun, to be honest.
it is fun, and it's also kind of really takes up a lot of brain energy for me.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I make it to lunch, I'm like, oh, I need a break. But then I have a new project at work I'm trying to learn, so then I'll have to do that after lunch,
Wow. Well, I'm
which
glad
is,
that work is picking up because I know for a while it was slow for you. So
yeah,
that's good.
it's been really slow, and so I'm hoping
Yeah.
this one has a 15-hour a week minimum
Mm-hmm.
requirement for me. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to have 15 hours a week available, but I'm hoping.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, that's
so
awesome.
what's up with you?
Oh gosh, like it seems like several things. First of all, Purpose Behind the Pen is almost done with week 8 or book 18. That is her What's Up, and it's an amazing one. Prolific Purpose Behind the Pen. Like if we want to keep that alliteration going, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Piper, oh no, I've done that so many times. Piper, we've talked before about how you are accident prone. She says she wasn't allowed to use blades when she was younger because of her ability to hurt herself. Your poor, poor mother. We said that so many times. Anxiety. And Piper's saying, congratulations to Purpose Behind the Pen for her book 18. What's up for Christy? Hers is that she went to the novel marketing conference in Austin last week. Sadie and her dad held down the fort while I was gone, and the conference was amazing. Ooh, it's
Oh,
like I want to pick your brain about what you
yeah.
discovered. Maybe yeah, I would like to know some of the things you learned.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. And then let's see. You know what? I've got some kind of a weird pop-up here. I can't see. Oh, Christy, I'm jealous. Yeah, Piper really likes a good conference. All right. So
I do too. I just can't afford many of them at
I
this
know.
point.
Yeah, the financial component is like, bleh.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a few things. So while I was at my second job, this man came in and he was talking about his house in Greece and how he's trying to get dual citizenship, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I am not traveled enough. And I have had it on the back burner to get my passport for sort of many years. I mean, like if I'm going to have a bucket list item, I guess that's one of them. Just to have the passport, not even to go anywhere. It just kind of feels like I'm an adult because I have a passport, if that makes any sense. But then also, if I just decided on a whim, I did want to go somewhere, that component would be checked off, right?
Right.
No biggie. I went online to fill out the form, and then they asked me, what color is your hair? And I'm like, do I choose gray? Do I choose brown? Do I choose blonde? Because like my hair, when it's freshly washed, it's just like a washed out, I used to have hair color. It's like no color. Now it's looking like there's a lot of gray here, but it isn't all gray. So I feel like if I say I have gray hair, they're going to expect someone to show up who like has gray, all of it is gray, but it's not. And then, like I say, if it's freshly washed, It's a different. So what do you do? Can anybody advise? Anybody who has passport experience, maybe?
You
I
would
don't
put
know.
the same color of hair that it says on your driver's license.
I think that I did that before I went. Great. In Florida, they issue your driver's license, and then I swear it's like 7 years before it expires. But anyway, I guess I put brown then because I guess
Well, you
like
could just look at it.
why would they not just have like some gray? You know what I mean? Like that would just
Well,
make my life so much
your
easier.
base color is brown, and that's what's on your driver's license. So legally, that's what you should put.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Oh, we've got Jason. Yay.
Oh, hi,
Hi,
Jason.
Jason. And then we've got Piper telling me go brown. You can always tell them the gray just happened. This is true. How about the stress of standing in this passport line has grayed me?
Customs will do it to you.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Just if you ever go to Colombia, don't fill a suitcase with coffee and then come back through customs and not expect them to stop you. Open your suitcase and poke a needle in every bag of your coffee. So you know.
It flummoxes me because I know some people who travel and they bring like a lot of stuff back, and I guess you just have to declare it because it would seem to me that you would not bring anything back.
My husband went to a mission trip in Colombia, and one of his fellow pastors, like everybody was like, "Oh, bring us coffee, bring us coffee, bring us coffee." So he bought an empty suitcase and filled it with coffee that he bought over there for all these people that wanted coffee. And he got hung up in customs for quite a while because apparently they use coffee to trick the drug sniffing dogs because of the smell of the coffee. And so they poked a hole in every bag of his coffee.
Yeah, because have you ever went to Ulta Beauty just to sniff the perfumes? They've got coffee beans sitting there, and in between perfume sniffs, you can whiff the coffee beans to like clear out your nose.
I'm not a perfume person, so I've never been in that part of it.
Yeah, the nostrils, I guess the coffee beans cleanse your nostril palate.
And the nose is the laziest organ in the body.
What?
Yeah, you'll notice that your nose will stop noticing a scent very quickly.
Yeah,
that's
the
why
nose blind
a lot
thing,
of people put way too much perfume on because they think it's not there anymore because they can't smell it, but it's just that their nose went nose blind to it.
Oh dear. I wonder how many people I secretly offend with my perfume smell. People who are really offended will let you know, though.
I'll just move quietly away because it gives me headaches.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are super sensitive about that.
Which is why I don't go in the perfume sections, which is why I didn't know they had coffee. Because I would get a headache and probably a little nauseous if I was around like a lot of perfume at once.
Yeah, I like a good men's cologne.
I still like Polo. I don't know. Like Polo was the in thing in the 80s, and I still like it. I don't know.
Did you see that meme on Facebook that said this is a 1980s girl's kryptonite and it's a bottle of Polo cologne in the picture?
No, but I need
it. Jason says he's like you, Tina, and he gets headaches from a lot of perfume.
Yeah,
I don't like it overwhelming, but I sure do like it when I'm around a man who knows how to wear it and they picked a scent that suits them because it will smell different on you than it will smell on other people. Yeah. It's really fascinating.
It's something to do with pheromones and all that.
All right. Well, that's the What's Up segment of the podcast. What does Piper say? There is one perfume that makes it hard for me to breathe. I want to ask the person wearing it what it is so I would know what to avoid, but I don't want to offend. Well, if you just ask, what is your fragrance? What is that fragrance you're wearing? They'll assume that you like it. So just simply ask, what is that fragrance you're wearing? You know what I mean? I couldn't help but notice it.
There's one that some people wear that's like really spicy and it just gets me every time I just go.
Yeah, there's somebody who is not like my favorite person and they have a signature scent, and every time I smell it, it's very much reminds me of that person. It's really interesting. And and then when I was young, we had to dissect a fetal pig and a worm in biology. And my dissection partner, I know her, I'll remember her name forever. And she wore Liz Claiborne perfume. And so that smell reminds me of dead worms because
Oh
that
no.
smell mixed with like the formaldehyde or whatever is just burned into my brain as like a dead worm smell.
We dissected rabbits. I took
Oh.
human anatomy in high school, and
Mm.
the rabbit's vascular system is very similar to humans, and so we
Hmm.
had to like take all the meaty parts off of the liver and see all the veins, which is like it's
Hmm.
mostly veins. And we had Christmas break in the middle, like
Mm.
starting it and ending it.
Mhm.
And we had to come back after 2 weeks off and finish dissecting these rabbits. And
Mm.
yeah, I will never forget the smell of formaldehyde.
I know
It's
it's not
brutal.
great. It's not my
Mm.
favorite. Mm-mm. All right. Well, on that nauseating note, let us
Oh,
shift
sorry.
gears. No, it's fine. I
We should
mean,
put a trigger warning on this episode.
listen, we're usually talking about food and making everybody hungry. For once, we're putting
Mhm.
them off their lunch. So, this week we are baby steps back, baby. We are following a 4-week plan to encourage us to resume our writing adventure that potentially we have been derailed from either the reality or myth or superstition of writer's block, however you feel about that. Maybe you've had writer's block, maybe you've just been busy, maybe you've suffered trauma that has kind of made your creativity take a back seat. Whatever is the reason, our 4-week plan is designed to hopefully get you back to where you once were. Okay, so this was week 2 that just ended. And week 2, Tina, why don't you recap because I've just been talking for a couple minutes.
Okay. And I just want to give a little disclaimer before I say anything. I forgot my glasses. I don't even know where they are. So, so if I get too close to the camera and you have to look up my nostrils or something, I apologize. Because now I have to read the outline of what we're talking about.
Oh dear, okay.
Yeah, last week was to write 500 words every day.
Mm-hmm.
And then go into Facebook and report that you wrote 500 words. I was not very good at the reporting part,
Oh, okay.
but I'm pretty sure. And because of the type of work I was doing, it was really hard to know was I actually writing 500 words or even count the words. Because
Mm.
I would like write out something about, because I'm doing an outline, right? And then I would
Mm-hmm.
think, no, and then I would change it and I would erase it and change it. So, but
Mm-hmm.
between
It
that
was
and my Bible journaling in the morning, I know I wrote way more than 500 words a day.
Well, and that was something that Sonia had shared also is that her current work in progress is an editing project. And she was saying how she writes words and then she deletes words and then she writes words and then she deletes words. And I would just basically say that the spirit of the challenge was to get you into your work. And so I would count that as a win, even if you didn't remember to report. So as far as my reporting, one day I put, oh, it's day 3, but it probably totally wasn't. I don't even know. So then I got like all twisted up about like, what day is it? Because the challenge didn't like start on a Monday and end on a Sunday. And I
Mm-hmm.
got like all twisty about it. But I absolutely did write the 500 words every day. And so before I sort of opine about my experience, Tina, so far, how has the challenge overall felt for you? Manageable? How would you describe it?
Well, so far for me, it's just kind of fit into what I was already doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it hasn't really been a challenge for me because um, I'm I'm writing more than 500 words a day. I might not be doing it every day. I don't tend to do it on Sunday. It's like Sunday is the day that we have church, and since my husband's a pastor, there's a lot of other things going on, and so I just don't write on Sundays.
Hmm.
But other than that, I I've been working on my book, and I feel like I'm making a lot of progress. And I
Hmm.
don't feel that it's been something I need to push myself further than what I've already
Hmm.
been doing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, the challenge was not necessarily a challenge for you because we were all starting from different places as far
Right.
as distance from our work.
Right. And thinking back on it, maybe I should have like, to make it a challenge, added 500 extra words, or
Hmm.
said that I would write a 500 word piece, like just some random, like a sprint kind
Right.
of thing. But I don't think that my mental energy could have handled that, because like I said, the work that I'm doing takes up a lot of mental energy, and by the time I'm done for the day, I'm done. So
Hmm. Well, I mean, again, the baby steps back challenge, it doesn't, I mean, it's just got you mindful about the work that you're doing. And I hope that instead of feeling like maybe you should have stretched yourself to do more, that maybe we can just take a moment to say, atta girl, Tina, for working towards your goal of having a finished book. Like you're really putting in the work. And when you have a success, you will feel that it is deserved and earned, and you won't have imposter syndrome because you're actually doing the hard work. So good for you is what I want to say. Hooray,
thank you.
Tina.
What
And
about you?
I will tell you in a moment because first, Jason says he never thought of counting Bible journaling. He's doing better writing than he thought. And also, I want to encourage anybody who's in the chat who's taken the challenge to write how it's gone for you so far. And now I will say, so here's the thing, it was really hard for me. It was not just making the time to do it, it was just uh, first of all, the work that is sitting there that I need to do for my writing career is editing and not writing. So when I came to write every day, it was very much, well, what am I going to write? What am I going to write about? Do I need a prompt? I remember one day just doing the verbal dictation in a private room in the office during my lunch hour because I was so uninspired. I just talked into the notes app. Just zero inspiration, zero drive to do the work. I only did it because I said I was going to do it. And I don't like to say I'm going to do something and not do it. It wasn't fun. It wasn't enjoyable. 0 stars. And I'm just being transparent and honest because I feel like I can't be the only person in the universe who would maybe feel that way.
So was it like that every day or just on certain days?
Pretty much every day. I mean, we talked during the planning for these episodes that, well, we'll get into it when we talk about week 3,
Mm-hmm.
that I was not looking forward to this challenge. And like I said, as we move into talking about week 3, I think I can provide more color. But yeah, week 2 was super duper rough. But I can say that I honored my commitment to myself, and I really like to honor commitments that I make to myself. And so that's why I like to under promise and then over deliver, and not to sign on to do anything I just know that I don't want to do, because
Right.
then I'm miserable for 7 days in a row. That's
Right.
why sometimes I was reluctant to commit to NaNoWriMo, because it's like, I'm going to do it if I say I'm going to do it. And you know exactly what that experience is after you've done it a couple of times. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah, I get
Yeah.
that.
So let's see. Purpose Behind the Pen said, this challenge allowed me to work on various projects, since I do believe this will be my most prolific writing year ever without all of the social media distractions. Yes, good for you. That's so awesome. Teresa says she wasn't able to do anything for week 2, but the challenge has definitely been good for my brain. Even though I couldn't write this week, I've been thinking about writing, which is an improvement.
Good.
Excellent. Yes, that is, I mean, we're calling it baby steps back for a reason. We want to ease you back into it to get you farther than where you were on day one. And if the challenge has accomplished that, that's very exciting.
Right.
Super
And
happy
did
about
we
that.
mention Piper Dow's comment here?
Oh,
She
here
said, I
we go.
haven't been doing it every day, but it's made me more aware of working on my book. So it does feel like it's been a good challenge.
Awesome. That's great. Piper says, I wish I would follow through on commitments to myself. I follow through on commitments to others way more than to myself. Maybe that's a podcast topic. Like that feels pretty deep right there, doesn't it, Tina? That's
Yeah,
a
it
pretty
does.
deep thing. Yeah.
You know,
Christy says,
because oh, go ahead.
no, I want to hear what you have to say.
Different people are motivated by different things. And so to know yourself and to know, like, there's an external motivation motivate you, an internal motivation. Obviously, for you, it's an internal motivation. And for Cindy, it's external. And for me, it's kind of both, because if something feels like homework and I'm going to get a grade, even if it's not like a grade, even if it's just some kind of feedback, it's so motivating for me. And I think that's like my number one learner coming out. And when I told that to my book coach, she had never used Google Classroom before, but she set us up a Google Classroom, and she like puts assignments.
What a great coach to hear that feedback and action it.
Yeah, so like it's actually, and there's actually like a thing that says submit work, and you like click it and you upload the file, and it's like turning in your homework. And that feeling of doing that, of just handing in your work and then knowing she's gonna give me feedback, is so motivating for me. So it's partially internal and partially external for me, but knowing your motivation is really important, or what can motivate you.
Absolutely. And we've talked so many times about how it's really a study of one to get across the finish line. Right. Where do we want to go? So much good chat today. Christy says the good news is no writing is wasted, not even the stinky, uninspired words. Thank you. That's so encouraging. Catherine says intellection is working on what's next for my book. So I've worked in fits and starts. Some days 500 plus words, some days 0.
To quote Becca Syme, who is the guru of Strengths for Writers, thinking is working if you have high intellection. And if you have high intellection, you can edit a blank page. So I've done that many times where I write a narrative in my mind, but it's more like a picture. It's almost like watching stuff happen. And then I erase it and redo it, and erase it and redo it, and then I go write.
Yeah, to purpose behind the pen's point about the social media distractions, it's funny because at my waitressing job, when you're not busy, you're not supposed to be standing around looking at your phone. You're supposed to actually be like finding something to clean, which is never fun. But even while you're cleaning, you can intellect about your writing because like there isn't social media around to distract you. And that's a lot of hard work, because then when you approach your project later, you have done a lot of editing already, and it's just a matter of committing it to paper.
Yeah. And they actually have cleaning on the list of intellection activities.
Okay. All right. Well, that's awesome. That works. Yes, because that's how it goes for me. Well, and also showering, because again, it's just, the tasks and you're physically occupied, and then your brain can go to outer space.
Right. Going on a ride in your car.
Yeah.
Going for a walk, swimming, cleaning, taking a shower, and taking a nap.
Nice.
So you could take a nap and your brain will be working while you're sleeping.
I need to spend 3 hours working on my novel. Okay. Yeah. Catherine Carroll's, yes. Thinking is working. That's why I usually measure blocks of time instead of words.
Same.
Okay. All right. So moving on, we have week 3 of the challenge coming up starting tomorrow. Right, Tina?
Saturday to Friday.
Okay. So why don't you talk about what week 3 is all about, if you don't mind?
So week 3 is kind of like week 2. only we're going to double the words.
Mm,
So it's 1,000 words instead of 500.
okay. So, any feedback about that, Tina?
I just think this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge to me. I don't know how many words I've been writing. So the challenge is going to be keeping track and seeing how close I am to 1,000, and then seeing if I feel like I need to add a little more, like, to what I'm doing.
So you're just going to kind of evaluate your progress and see how you
Right.
can use the challenge to improve that progress.
And I'm not quite sure how to do that. I know that I've been doing my outline in Scrivener, and Scrivener has a way where you can count words, even words you've deleted if you wrote them, but I'm not quite sure how to do that. So I'm going to have to do some research on that.
Okay, and it's interesting. So now here is time for more color from me. So when we talked about this series of challenges, when week 3 came up, I was like, I'm 100% on board except for week 3. And sort of the other ladies were like, but why? And I'm like, because I do not want to commit to writing 1,000 words a day. And, there was back and forth and talk about it. Like, well, it's really just 2 sprints, or it's really, just this, or it's really just do that. And so at the time, I'm like, well, let me put a pin in it and see where I am at today. And now we are at today. And I really just do not think I'm going to do it because, like I said, I want to honor the commitments I make to myself.
Right.
And like that promise to do that, nope, it's not for me. And I just have to stick to it. I can't, I just don't want to be miserable for the next 7 days.
I don't blame you.
And I don't want to let myself down.
Right. And that's the most important person. If you think you're going to let yourself down, don't do it. And honestly, you can be a great cheerleader to the others who are going to do it and who are going to go on the Facebook and post that they did it, and you can go in there and be a cheerleader. You don't have to write anything but encouraging words.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe I can write 1,000 encouraging words in Facebook posts. That might be
There you go.
a workaround.
Get out your thesaurus.
Yes, I'm not going to commit to writing every day. I may go back to week 1 and just consider it efficient enough to open my project every day because, gosh, I'm trying super hard not to get emotional. Give me just a moment here.
Well, Teresa says it's okay, Jamie, and it is. It's 100% okay. And oh my gosh, I just lost it. Oh, Jason, he says, I need to figure out a good way to either up or reduce challenge sizes based on the season I'm in. And what I would say is if you're not in a season where 1,000 words feels doable to you, maybe do manuscript time blocks. Like Catherine, was it Catherine that said she does manuscript time blocks? That's what I do. I measure my time in 25-minute pomodoros and 5-minute breaks. And if you think that you can write 500 words in 25 minutes, just commit to 2 manuscript time blocks. So whether that's thinking or drawing a map or editing or writing an outline or just reading about your craft, whatever, you could do that if you want to challenge yourself.
I appreciate that.
I really think that everybody, like, this is what we came up with was 1,000 words, and that's great. But if you feel like you need to modify it, when you reach whatever it is you put as your goal, go in the group on Facebook, or you can even go into this YouTube video and make a comment below it if you're not on Facebook, and just say, this is what I did. This was what challenge to myself, and this is what I did today. And that's fine, because we're all different. And we're all in different places, and we all have different needs right now. So
yeah, and I was talking about this to one of my non-writing friends, and sometimes I wonder if she's just like, writers are crazy, just based on the kind of conversations that we have.
Isn't that a given?
And anyway, as I was talking to her, she was reminding me of some personal challenges that I'm still having. Ugh, trying not to be emotional, crying on the internet. But I think the answer might just be that I'm not ready to come back yet. I'm still
And that's
sort of in the
100%
storm. You know what I'm saying?
understandable. It's 100% understandable. I like what Christy says, and it says, remember this, hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is the tree of life. It's okay to have smaller chunks. Maybe you can do several smaller chunks.
Well, as of today, and on this podcast, I'm committing to nothing because, again, I do think that maybe the truth for me is that I'm just not ready to be back.
Yeah.
Because it's just sort of how it feels, you know?
Yeah. If you're not getting enjoyment from the writing, then you should wait until you are. And maybe if it doesn't come back, maybe there's something else that God has for you to do.
Yes. Yes, and so we'll see. Again, I'm not going to commit to anything which will take the, oh gosh, I have to do this dreary obligation factor off of me and get me back to where I'm still waiting for the motivation to come back, that I want my characters out there. I want my story out there. The whys that are not obligational whys, right?
Yeah.
The whys that give you joy.
Yep. You should get joy from your writing. And if making a goal that doesn't feel good to you isn't giving you joy, then don't do it. And I'm not just saying that to you. I'm saying it to anybody who's listening.
Well, Tina, thanks for being a terrific time filler.
I forget. I was actually talking to my therapist yesterday, and she had like we kind of got off on a rabbit trail, and she said, I thought about writing a book, and I even started it, but I never finished it. And she goes, do people ask you to write books for them? And I'm like, all the time. And she said, what's your advice? And I said, first of all, if writing doesn't give you joy and you're not able to do it every day and have a writing habit, you're never going to write a book. So if that's you, then don't think you're going to write a book. You know what I'm saying? Like you need to have a writing habit, and like any habit, it might be discipline at first to make yourself do it, but it should lead to joy. Like even like when I first started doing devotions every morning and reading my Bible and writing in my Bible journal, when I first started, I had to discipline myself to do it. But after a while, it became a joy. If it's not a joy, you're not going to keep doing it. And so if writing doesn't bring you joy, then the dream of writing a book is probably not something you're going to follow through on, because it's hard work. And well, that's pretty much it. I don't want to go off on
Well, I've written like 12 books. I just haven't edited them.
Right. So, but if it's not giving you joy anymore, then you need to wait until it is, or
not.
Maybe it won't ever come back, and that's okay too.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say that I lack discipline or
no, I wouldn't.
Things.
Well, that's just like my advice to people. Like, do you have a writing habit, and do you find joy from your writing? So for someone who's never tried before.
Right, for sure.
Yeah.
Piper says she would like to make the challenge for herself to do 2 time blocks using Freedom, an app, to limit the online distractions. Oh, I like that. Catherine says, don't make it probably all or nothing is what she meant. There's no good reason to turn writing into a torture device. Yeah, and I do tend to do all or nothing. I do tend to fall victim to black and white thinking. And so that is stuff to kind of consider and ruminate on for sure. Jason said, you for sure should get joy from your writing. Even writing the characters that your readers would hate, you should still have joy with it. And then Catherine, writing every day is not the best thing for a lot of writers. We need to do with what works for our brain. I know. And so we talked about this in the office hours when I was able to attend. And it's interesting too, because the last meme that I put for our writing challenge was a man planting a seed, and then later, a tree grows up and there's fruit. And I just would always say, like, how do you find the difference between doing what gives you joy and actually getting the outcome that you want? Because if you don't actually plant the seed, which is doing the writing, you don't ever get the fruit, which is having a published book. So how do you balance being kind to yourself, being gentle with yourself, and actually making yourself do the work? Like, this has been sort of like chasing me in my brain for years now, right? What is the balance between disciplining yourself so that you actually get across the finish line and being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up? And, where is that balance and line,
Yeah. Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I keep telling myself, well, do I really want it or not? And again, it just is like, for me, I think I ridiculously feel like the other areas of my life should not bleed in. That's ridiculous. And it also feels like, for me, excuse making. And I don't want to be someone who makes excuses for not doing what I say I'm going to do.
Right.
But it's true that I am going through stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's really just true. It's almost kind of like if you had an illness diagnosis and then, you're running around doing errands all day, and then you're like, oh, I'm so tired and I can't imagine why. And someone reminds you, well, you have XYZ illness, dodo brain. That's probably why. And so I think,
and who knows, this might be the fertilizer. And I'm not like diminishing what you're going through. I'm just saying. It
sure is a bunch of BS. So yeah, it is fertilizer.
Like, I would think of it as fertilizer for your future writing.
Yeah.
Because who you are really does come out on the page, no matter what you're writing. And my book coach really reminded me of that because of all the discussions we've had about all my characters during character arcs. And she said to me, these characters have so much of you in them. There's nobody on this planet other than you on this planet that could write this book.
Wow. That's really
it was
cool.
really, because she was pointing, like, each of my characters, she was pointing out the parts of me that are in them. And, you don't see that. Like, you don't see the forest through the trees sometimes when you're trying to develop something like that.
That's very inspiring, Tina, to be honest, because when we do talk about it is your own personal journey, really nobody else can write your book. Like, I mean, it sounds trite. It sounds like a cliche, but it's so true. And I love that your book coach was able to frame that in such a way that it made you believe it, and it makes me believe it. She sounds amazing. Shout out to her for real. Yeah.
Elise Thiel, and she said she works for oh my gosh, what is it? Author Accelerator.
Okay.
Yeah, she's great. And I did get her permission to say her name, so.
Tremendous.
Last time we were talking about her, I didn't have permission yet, but I asked her.
Piper says, for me at least, I'm not doing this for a job. Therefore, I can be kind to myself about it. If I was doing it for a job, it would be, I need to just do it. Yes, we got that work ethic, right, Piper? But I can allow my life to be what it is. I love that. I love Piper. I love all of you guys. You're all so wonderful. What a wonderful time we have together each week.
Yeah, it's a great community.
So what do you think, Tina? Do we have more to talk about on this topic?
I think we should move on, or we're going to run out of time, and you're going to have to scoot out of here and leave me
back to the coal mine. All right, Tina. So we write every week a 15-minute prompt to a sprint.
We're making up our own words now.
No, Shakespeare. So we write for 15 minutes. We don't edit. And then we bring them to you and read them out loud. And so, Tina, what was our topic this week and what did you write?
Oh my gosh.
It was a phrase. It is ridiculous.
And It is ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. It's the
It
first
really
4
is
words of
ridiculous.
my sprint. That's why I was like, "Oh, no."
Oh.
Like, what exactly was it? Because I didn't, like, write it at the top. I just used it as the first words opening of my sentence.
Ah, got it.
And I didn't write in my world this time because of reasons. So, this is just like, I don't know, some random thing. I don't even know. Here we go.
Okay.
It really is ridiculous how much she talks about him. If I have to hear her say his name one more time. Elena picked up her glass and took a drink, gesturing with her eyes that Sarah was coming back from the bathroom. Chicken pot pie, Rhoda said, raising her eyebrows at Eleni. Eleni sighed at the code words, and the words from that old familiar hymn played simultaneously in the back of her mind. Grace, grace, God's grace. Oh, do they have chicken pot pie? Asked Sarah, settling back into her seat and picking up her menu. Matthew loves chicken pot pie. Eleni forced a
Mhm.
smile. I think I'll have the grilled chicken salad instead. All that crust isn't friendly with my hips. I don't see it. Sarah flipped the menu over, a confused look on her face. No, I just wish they would, said Rhoda, narrowing her eyes at Eleni. Oh, that's too bad. If it did, I could have convinced Matthew to come here with us. Yes, it is too bad. Rhoda narrowed her eyes at Eleni again. It's one of my favorite things. The sternness in Rhoda's voice was obvious, and Eleni shook her head at her, a warning to tone it down. I'm not sure what's going on here, Sarah said, looking between the two of them. Am I missing something? Are you guys in a fight? No, no, nothing like that, Rhoda smiled, placing a reassuring hand on Sarah's. So tell me, how are things going with you and Matthew? Has he popped the question yet? And with that, Sarah launched into a long explanation of how it was far too soon to expect a proposal since they'd only been dating for 2 years. Eleni did her best to smile and bit her tongue, reminding herself over and over not to blurt out how she'd seen precious, wonderful Matthew pulling into the strip club parking lot just 3 days ago.
Oh no.
Then the timer went off.
Wow. Where did that come from, Tina? That's like,
I have
I
no
mean,
idea.
not like in a positive way, like really not like wow, these girls, like I'm so conflicted because on the one hand, we've all just kind of had to deal with people kind of going on about something. We've all had sort of all of these feelings. But then you kind of can't really be on their side if they're keeping this from her, and then like, but she's so dumb if she's waiting around for years and years. Like, I mean, just so many things to make me be like immediately invested. So very good job, because yeah, there's lots and lots of threads there to grab on. I love it.
Thanks. Like, I didn't know he'd gone to the strip club till I had 2 minutes left, and I didn't know what to say.
That's funny. Piper says, "Oh no, that was so relatable, but oh no, that poor girl." And Eleni should tell her friend what she saw. I agree. Yes. I recently received some news from a friend. She ran directly to me to tell me because she knew that I just must know. It was not about an affair, but it was about something very, relevant and important. And she knew the right thing to do was to come immediately and tell me. So these really are not friends, which
Yeah.
is so interesting. I do not want a group of friends to go out and have lunch with that is like what you do. Just no thanks. I will be in my fortress of solitude instead. Thank you very much. I'm glad I have you all as friends instead.
Yeah. And Christy said, my cousin and I had a code word, green beans. I totally love that too. And then my best friend Rhonda and I are now going to have to find a new code word, because that is our actual code word for you are not being graceful to this person and you need to show grace.
Oh,
So,
well, that's a nice code word. I thought it was just like they're coming. Don't talk about them.
No, it's a code word for you are not being gracious.
You're being crusty.
Right.
Oh, Tina, I like that you guys remind each other to be kind and full of grace. Oh, how sweet.
Yeah, and you don't want to call people out in front of others, so you just like chicken pot pie.
Mm. All right. Well, I'm going to read mine, and I'm just going to warn you that this was in the spirit of, well, I've got to write 500 words about something. At least I have a prompt today. And I was actually very surprised at how long I went on before the timer went off. It was bizarre, but I wanted to make sure that I got to 500. So on and on I went. Here we go. The way you dragged us all out here, it really is ridiculous. Pammy huffed into her mittened hands as if the breath she blew into them wouldn't freeze almost immediately upon exhalation and would be able to do anything to help her warm her frozen digits. She rubbed her hands together and bounced in place, trying to generate warmth. "Aw, come on, Ma, don't be a spoil sport." Mikey picked up a bit of snow and smushed it into a ball. Pammy saw him look in his sister's direction and then make a smart choice, turning to instead overhand the snowball in the direction of a nearby tree. "Watch how you talk to your mother there, son," Job said, closing the driver's side van door and tucking the keys into the front pocket of his bib overalls, then closing said pocket with a jerk of the zipper. Pammy wanted to say something like, "He didn't mean anything by it, Job," but then remembered how their marriage coach had told her she needed to stop undermining Job's authority. This in turn made her realize she probably shouldn't have made the comment about what a ridiculous idea this outing had been. "Well, we might as well make the most of it," she said, flinging the long flapping end of her scarf around her neck. "Come on, Carrie Ann, let's see if this joint sells hot chocolate or something." They trudged to the low-slung concrete block building, painted a surprisingly cheerful shade of blue and adorned with flower boxes, festooned with red and yellow blooms. Fakes, to be certain. No such delicate petals could have survived the recent frosts. Smoke puffed merrily from the chimney, and as they approached the door, sounds of Christmas carols reached their ears. A bell jingled merrily as they entered the building with a bang. The outer door had been propped open, and the stormer had a self-closing mechanism that, in Pammy's opinion, was wound up a bit too tightly. "Howdy, folks," said a man with a tiny head, a red nose, a weak chin, and long white mustache that curled up on the ends. "Welcome to McGuff's. You picked a nice day for it. No lines." "You usually busy?" Job asked, allowing Mikey to enter and stomping his feet on the mat outside before slipping into the room, holding the spring-loaded door so it would close gently behind him. "Oh, yeah, weekends there's a big long line. Can I interest you folks in a cup of hot chocolate, or are you just out here to pick out your next best ever Christmas tree? We sell them by the foot, you know, so you can pick the plumpest, fullest, friendliest looking fella you like at no extra charge." He gestured to a chart on the wall that indicated tree sizes and cost. "Why would anyone pick out an 8-foot tree if it's the same price as a 10-footer? Mikey asked, and Pammy felt her face flush with anger and embarrassment. "Hey now," Job said, and was about to continue, but the McGuff's clerk held up a hand. "It's okay. I understand. The boy has a good head for business. Well, so does old Mr. McGuff. Like I said, Mr. McGuff is letting you pick any tree out there." The clerk made a sweeping gesture in the direction of the plate glass window that looked out onto a wooded lot. "Also, you are getting the Christmas tree farm experience for those few extra dollars. And you've got to admit that tradition itself is a priceless part of any Christmas." And then the timer went off.
Oh, I like that. I'm trying to figure out what the McGuff's was that his name actually McGuff, or was he working for Mr. McGuff?
Well, I think that he's really Mr. McGuff, but he talks about himself in third person.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yes,
What
yes.
is that accent?
Minnesota.
That's what I thought. Like, I wasn't sure.
But it's a terrible Minnesota. Like,
Wow.
I hear it, but I can't replicate it. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have a lot of family from Minnesota. And it reminded me of them. And so I thought, well, maybe it's Wisconsin, because,
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, you never know. I guess I would have to write him more.
Yeah, he should have said use instead of you.
Use, guys.
Use, guys.
Piper says, smoke puffed merrily. I can totally see this. We heat with a wood stove, and when the smoke is puffing out the chimney, it makes me happy. LOL. Yes, I mean, seriously, the picture that I had in my head is just like, this is a happy, fun time. Why are you so grumpy, Pammy? That's how I was feeling as I wrote it.
probably shouldn't say this in public to like however many thousands of people might eventually hear this, but I can totally relate to just feeling cranky with your husband and everything he says just annoying you.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes you just
sometimes
get that way.
just bristly, just in a
Yeah.
bristly mood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pammy, it's funny because she's like, "Oh, I'm going to try to be better," and then she's like, "Well, let's try to make the most of it," which is really not better. But in her
No.
mind, it's a
But
step in the right
hey,
direction.
it's
So
all that
anyway, there
counts,
you
right?
go. There's 600 words done. Hooray! I did the
Hey,
challenge.
and it was fun. I liked it. I
I'm so
enjoyed it.
glad. I really, I really would like to know. Did it seem like it was boring?
No.
I know it's just so strange.
I was
When you're in
sorry.
the editing mode.
I was reading this comment when you asked that question, so it took me a minute to process. That is amazing, Jamie. Yes, this is Sadie. I love that guy's accent.
That's so funny. Christy says no, and Piper said it was not boring. I really am not fishing for compliments, let me just say. And I wonder if Catherine can agree with me. When you get into editing mode, sometimes the problem of editing your own work is then you start to be like, but wait a minute, does this sound enough like James Joyce or like whatever it is in your head that is like, so then you rewrite it, but then you're like, oh no, now is it too wordy? And then you rewrite it. And so like, that happens, right? But these are not edited or whatever. But if I went back to edit it, I would just be like, oh my gosh, who would ever want to read this for one day? And then the next day I would come back and be like, it's amazing. I don't know. It's like
I was left with a sense of anticipation of like, this is just like the setup and what's going to happen. Like something's going to happen. And I was interested in what that was going to be. And then the timer went off. So I would not say that it was boring because you didn't lose me. I wanted to keep reading if there was more.
Amazing. Thank you very much. And Teresa said, no, not at all. So much is going on. And I'm looking at the clock, Tina. We have less than 4 minutes. So we do need to move on to the what's next. What's next for you?
Well, I'm just going to keep on keeping on. I have my outline to finish and my maps, and that's what I'm going to do.
All right. And I have not made a plan for what's next. What's next is to see what's next for me, and I'll be excited to report. I really do like what your book coach said. You could tell her that she inspired me secondhand because only you can write your story is a very inspiring thought to carry away, and the thought that I would like to leave with everybody. Even if you're like me, not feeling like you're really ready to take any baby steps back, only you can write your story.
Right. And I don't think I would have believed that if we hadn't done a deep dive into all of my characters. And she had not pointed out like, okay, you said this about yourself and that's how you relate to this character. And like, there was one character, I wasn't sure like what some things about him. And I asked my husband because I've started thinking about him like, this guy's a lot like my husband. And the answers that he gave me were so incredible. And so then I realized that the love interest of my main character is modeled after my husband. So it's almost like I'm writing my own love story, which is kind of
fascinating.
Yeah, just craziness.
Well, thank you everybody for being a part of this podcast. We appreciate you. And until next we are together, may your pen be prolific, may your deadlines be met, and may all of your words honor Christ. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Oh, I have to end it, don't I?